Let's talk about some of these commitments we've heard from the president, from the crown prince. Yesterday I was in the Oval Office. The $600 billion quickly became $1 trillion just in a matter of 60 seconds. And when you look through some of the deals that they're talking about, you hear the words commitments, MOUs. At what point do you think these deals will actually be inked, more solidified?
Well, this is actually a relationship that is quite reciprocal. Both countries benefit from co-investing with each other. There is no doubt that the American economy is the largest. The capital markets here are the deepest. I think something like 78% of the market cap of global capital markets is here in the US. And it's natural for an investment powerhouse like Saudi Arabia to be investing in the US. Also, we're modernizing, diversifying, and turbocharging our economy away, or in addition to, actually, our oil sector, which is going to continue to thrive, into new sectors where the U.S. happens to be the global leader, especially in tech and AI and healthcare and biotechnology. So I think it is natural. The capital in Saudi Arabia has been and continues to be abundant from our indigenous sources, government, PIF, companies like Aramco, which are growing their business, and they're generating from their revenue a lot of free cash flow that they need to deploy to grow and diversify their businesses. So it's natural for us to be looking at the US for a majority of our future and current investment, and it's also equally compelling for U.S. investors to look at Saudi Arabia. We are one of the most dynamic and fastest growing economies in the G20, and we have many competitive strengths that actually make investing by American companies quite profitable and reasonably low risk, given them, the regulatory ecosystem in Saudi Arabia, the stability of the currency, which is pegged, the high credit rating, you name it. Saudi Arabia ticks all the boxes and then some. So the numbers that have been mentioned are natural, I think, given the scale of these two economies we're talking about. And they are mutually beneficial, hugely mutually beneficial.
When we first met, you were the Saudi energy minister. I used to follow you all over the world to ask you about the oil price. Where oil prices are trading right now, could Saudi continue to have that high level of investment with prices in the 60s?
Well, first of all, anybody who's been monitoring oil and oil markets like yourself would know that the market is highly cyclical. And after every downturn, there is a period of tightness because of demand being stimulated by extended long periods of low oil prices, and also by throttling the investment by some countries and companies. So I expect in the mid to long term oil prices will be healthy, oil markets will continue to grow, and there will be plenty of investment. The other angle, I would say, is that investments in the kingdom are no longer correlated 100% with government spend, which is a function of short-term revenues from oil. That economy of Saudi Arabia has been superseded by Vision 2030. And we have, to a large degree, not fully, but we're on our way of decoupling the economy of Saudi Arabia from its strong correlation and interlock with oil prices. The private sector is the primary investor in Saudi Arabia, both domestic and international. As I said today in my opening remarks, FDI flows have quadrupled since Vision 2030 was launched in 2016, quadrupled. And as a result, our 80-year stock of FDI has doubled in the last 10 years. So in the last 10 years, we've generated more FDI stock than we had the previous 80 years. 90% of our FDI flows recently are not related to oil. It's in this, the sectors that are going to be driving the economy of Saudi Arabia tomorrow. Tourism is one example. Obviously, technology, cloud and AI, healthcare and biotech, education from the world's best universities are all coming to the kingdom and voting with their dollars and their money. So yes, oil markets will oscillate and prices will go up and down, but we don't invest on the basis of what oil prices are going to be next quarter or next year or the year after. The kingdom today is a magnet for global investment, and even Saudi investment is being reinvested at a very high place. And the kingdom, I would just end by saying, the kingdom has invested, all sectors of our economy has invested significantly, trillions of dollars abroad over the last 80, 90 years. And many investors are saying, we find the kingdom, Saudi investors, the best place to invest, and they're repatriating some of those stocks back to Saudi.
A lot of Saudi barrels, though, are going to Asia, namely China, but the dollars are coming to the United States. Do you think strategically today Saudi Arabia is closer to the U.S. than Beijing?
Well, we have actually quite a balanced global relationship economically, trade and investment. China remains to be predominantly our largest trade partner. The bilateral trade between Saudi and China is equivalent to the next 4 or 5 G7 countries. So it's quite significant, and that's going to only grow because of the complementarity between our two economies. China remains to be the world factory, and they manufacture at a low cost, and we realize they're also upgrading their technology capabilities, so they are good. And I'm happy to say, as a Minister of Investment, as excited as I am here in the US about attracting American investment, I'm excited about attracting Chinese investment. We think, and we've seen a significant uptick in Chinese FDI flows into Saudi. They're nowhere near where the US has accumulated and continues to lead in investment in Saudi. But China is investing, and they will continue to invest. And we invest in China too, for the reasons you mentioned. All of the barrels of hydrocarbons that go to China, we would rather process those in China in our own facility. So both SABIC and Aramco have been and continue to invest in that world number 2 market, which is growing at a fast pace. And then we're seeing more investments in China and with China in areas where they are the global leader, especially in renewables. If you think of photovoltaics, wind energy, they're quite a powerful country and economy in those sectors. And it makes a lot of sense for us to invest with them. Saudi Arabia continues to be guided by its own interests, and especially if they're aligned with countries who are like-minded and strategic partners to us. And I'm happy to say that we have that relationship both with the US and China.